Hey guys, this is Daniel. Welcome to Blunt Talk, to another episode in my podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm very excited to keep on going with the series. You guys have loved every episode, and I'm so appreciative and supportive. I know I say it every time, but it's the truth. Like, you guys keep making me move forward and keep making episodes for you guys. So thank you so much. Without further ado, we have a very special guest on today's episode. None other than Miss Maureen Braun. How we doing?
In a second. Hi, Daniel.
How we doing?
Good. Nice to see you.
First question I always ask everyone on the podcast is, how's your quarantine been so far?
Little crazy, you know. I'm healthy, and that's good. And all of my children are healthy, and that's good. So it's okay. It's just a different way of living for a short period of time, we hope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely a learning curve for everyone that everyone's trying to get used to this. I agree. For me, it's been like with online classes and just trying to find ways to work out and starting applying to jobs now that I graduated.
Amen. That's it.
Mhm.
Learning new ways. But you know what? Learning is a good thing.
That's one way to put it. And I agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your background, because you're technically a PE teacher now. You're also a fitness instructor and a yoga instructor. Did I get all of those right?
Yes. So I am the PE teacher and health teacher at my school at K to 8th grade. And I teach yoga at a fitness center. I also teach spinning. I'm also a certified NASM personal trainer.
Okay.
And I did that for a few years. I take private clients at my house and train them at my house.
Okay.
So I'm a busy lady.
No, it definitely sounds that you're in all different realms of like education, but then also instructing healthiness and all that.
Yeah, and it's all about the physical and emotional, and your mind, all of that.
Oh, they're all interconnected. I agree.
It's a complete package. I just have to tell you that. But that's not where I started my journey. So I actually have a bachelor's degree in library and information science. So I could be a librarian.
Okay.
Yeah. So I actually started my career working for their defunct now TRW, which is Northrop Grumman, a defense contractor down here. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the job brought me down here. And I worked in the defense industry as a technical member of the staff for 13 years. And in that time period, I got married, I had children, and when I had my third child, he had some health issues. And so I decided to be a stay-at-home mom. But I also needed to make some extra cash. And at that point, I was working out a lot to burn off stress, because exercise is great for that. And I decided to start getting, I thought if I was going to be at the gym, I might as well make some money and be at the gym.
That makes sense.
Yeah, help support my family.
Something that you're good at, and it's turning into a profit. That I can see that.
Yeah. So my first certification was just a blanket ACE group exercise certification, and I could do like a muscle up class. And then my next certification I got was for, it must have been spinning. So that's indoor high intensity bike class.
Yeah.
And I got that certification. And at the same time, all this was happening, these certifications, and I was working, working more and more in this field. I started competing. I started running marathons and competing in triathlons. And that really comes from a childhood thing of endurance, what our bodies can actually endure. It's just always been fascinating to me. And these endurance sports were right where I just, that was my thing. But what I was finding is as I was aging, I was getting more and more beat up every time. And it was hurting me. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, this is the end of my This is my end of my competing career.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it was really a career. And I started taking yoga.
Oh, so that's what made
And
you start doing yoga.
yes, and I loved it
Mm-hmm.
because I would beat myself up and then I would do yoga and it felt like it put me all back together.
It's like the one thing that would turn everything back around to like you being calm and like peaceful, like.
Calm, peaceful, but my muscle aches and strains, anything that was hurting me, it just put everything back together, just everything. And it
Mm-hmm.
gave me a better sense of myself,
Mm-hmm.
peacefulness. It was awesome. So I loved it so much, I decided,
To become an instructor.
yeah.
Wow.
So I got the first certification, and
Mm-hmm.
then a few years ago, I mean, the industry kind of says you at least have to have your 200 hour. So I went back and got my 200 hour, even though I'd been teaching for about 10 years.
Yeah.
I just needed to have it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it just you just need to have it in the industry. So that's kind of, so my kids were getting older. I was competing and I was, and doing teaching, and you know, I just love everything. I do a lot of weightlifting.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to do powerlifting. I think that might be in my future, believe it or not.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, yeah, and I also want to be the first 100-year-old spin instructor.
That would be one crazy record to have, or like one crazy
What?
like.
Wouldn't it be so crazy? I have 40 more years to go. I
Like,
just turned
here's hoping
60.
that you can succeed in that. Let's hopefully. Fingers
Yes.
crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
I always say it's a goal.
Okay.
I also, my other future goals, I would like to, I've always wanted to do the Ironman. I'm not 100% sure my knees can do that, but I'm still,
That's a lot of stress on those knees. That's a good. Oh my God.
yeah, I may be able to do it. We'll see. Um, or I also would like to hike the Appalachian Trail.
Now that hiking is one of my things that I love to do whenever I get the chance to. Like that sounds like a crazy, like a good thing to do.
Yeah. You know, doing a pass through, that's, you know, from Georgia all the way up. That takes, I just had a friend do it. I feel so jealous about it, but he did it. He started in April and he finished in, I think, September. I don't know if I'll ever be able to have that big block of time off to do
That's a lot of time and like free. That's a lot of free time that
a
you
lot
need.
of free time
A lot of.
that you're not earning money.
Mhm. That's the thing. That's the thing. So that's definitely another factor that takes into like how difficult it is to actually be able to do that.
Yes.
Uh,
But it's what an adventure that would
mhm,
be, and talk about endurance.
mhm. Did you play any sports growing up, or like?
So growing up, I, I grew up in a very old-fashioned household,
Okay.
and my mom used to say, why would you ever want to exercise or play sports and get muscles like boys have?
Uh,
It was terrible.
mhm,
And so the things that I was permitted to do was like gymnastics
mhm.
and cheerleading. I was captain of the cheerleader for 2 years. I cheered for 5 years. And we competed very heavily in my high school. And we were excellent. You know, we did all the, you know, acrobatic type stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I never was permitted to do any of the other sports, which
That's
is
so
really,
sad.
it's so sad. I would never, ever, ever consider doing that to any girl.
Like
No.
if they want to play, like, give them that chance. Like it's their, like
Yes.
at the end of the day, it's their life, so they should be able to do something that they actually have the motivation or the interest to do.
Yeah, we did, however, you know, I grew up in a time where kids every day came outside, you know, every day came outside to play.
Yeah.
And we had some fierce kickball games and some fierce badminton games. And so, that was all. I was allowed to do that, but that was with neighborhood kids.
Yeah. It's sad that you don't see kids nowadays as often like go out on the street and just like get a soccer ball and kick it around like a hockey puck, whatever, a ball, whatever it is. It's sad that like I wish I would have been born earlier because that would have been a playground for me. Just playing and going out like every day, just doing a different adventure or something.
I feel like parents nowadays, it's a little bit of a different world. I think parents are much more cautious about kids being outside and unsupervised. And that's why, team sports have in younger and younger age groups have become so popular, because that's kind of what kids are, they're going outside and playing.
Exactly.
Exactly. And it's kind of giving them the same experience. But yeah, so that was my childhood. But eventually I did find my way. I did find my way. And it wasn't until after college that I actually started running. And I loved it. I love exercise. I think, it's key in a person's happiness and mobility.
I agree 100%. I try to exercise as much as possible. Do you have a favorite sport in particular, or like a favorite athlete, or like someone that you like think of and it's like, all right, I love what that person's doing, whether it's like an individual sport or like a team sport player?
So I'm a huge Pittsburgh Steeler fan.
I was about to say, because like you're from Pittsburgh, you're probably a Pittsburgh's everything.
Die hard.
Okay.
Die hard. Hands down, die hard Pittsburgh Steelers. And I loved my Terry Bradshaw, because that was, he was the guy. He was the guy while I was growing up. And I love the Steelers, love Terry Bradshaw, love Ben Roethlisberger. He's done a lot for the team over the years.
Oh, he has.
I also, Katha Switzer was the first female to run the Boston Marathon in 1967. And she snuck in with her boyfriend and her coach, and the race director went after her when he realized there was a woman in the race.
What?
And the boyfriend side-checked the director, and he went flying out. And she
was in the Boston Marathon of, you're correct, 1967.
Yeah, 1967, yeah. And, that woman being so brave at that time to do what she did, but in reality, she was just doing something that she was drawn to do. She loved it. She was drawn to it, and she did it. And that's
amazing. I actually did not know that.
Yeah. She went on to run the Boston Marathon 8 more times, 7 more times, 8 more times. 8 more times. Yeah. I do know this one thing. When I ran the Las Vegas, I did it in 4 hours and 20 minutes. And guess what? She did her first one in 4 hours and 4 hours and 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I love endurance.
No, that makes sense. That's a good. That's an answer I could see you saying, especially after you explained the endurance and the passion for all these like. I
actually have a really kind of a gross story, but I was about I think I was probably in the 6th grade, around 12 years old.
Okay.
And I was watching a marathon on TV. It had to have been the Boston Marathon. And there was a woman that it may have been this woman. I don't even know. But this is going to gross you out. But her bowels released while she was running, because she was, I know. And I was watching it. I know. I'm sorry, Daniel.
No, you're good.
But it was such an impactful video, because I thought to myself, I was horrified. Who would want to do something that would have them, that caused them to do this. It was, and I don't know, I think I kind of started to fixate on that, on what can the human body endure.
Wow, I see what you did there. That's a good point, because it's kind of insane the fact that you tell me this happened in a Boston Marathon, for example, because that shows that the person was so determined that they went on, and then that happened. It shows you that there's gotta be like certain things that like, and to investigate and research further into like what's like the limits of each body part, and like things like this for like endurance and any type of exercise or sport.
So I can honestly tell you, when I start exercising, if I'm doing a run or I'm in a spin class or I'm doing something that's really intense like that, I honestly feel I'd rather die than stop, than quit. I will never quit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'll
For me,
never
I'm a person.
quit.
Yeah, for me,
And
I'm a
that's
person
why,
that.
God willing, I'll
Mhm.
be the first 100-year-old spin instructor.
You got this. I believe in you. You got this. You got this. But I agree with you. I'm a person that I hate to quit. It's like I play a lot of basketball. For example, say I get hurt, I'll be like the first person to be like, no, 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 hold up. Let me at least finish this session, or like this like quarter or whatever. Like let me,
Tape me up.
yeah. Like I like to try to finish. Like when I was doing like field days back in high school and middle school, and there was like relays or like 400, 800 meters, I would feel like sick to my stomach half the way. But like I'd always be the third, second person to finish. Like I would try to finish. That's the goal. Cause
Yeah.
quit. I feel like if you quit,
That's such a important mindset.
Mhm.
I mean, that you have to be so focused and so determined.
Mhm.
It's that drive. I think it's that drive that gets you to where you want to go. And I mean, you use that in so many other things to get you through other things in life that are difficult, I think. You know, it's that a lot of things might not be going your way, but I'm not going to quit.
And that's how it should be. That's the right mindset to have in sports.
Yeah.
What is your current, like, what is your opinion on the current situation, and not just the world of sports, but like with schools and like, for example, physical education with due to the coronavirus? Like, for example, I feel like a class like PE isn't the most easiest to translate or transition into like a Zoom class. Like,
Talk about keep learning.
Mhm, mhm,
Yes. So I very quickly, so what I ended up doing would create like a monthly fitness challenge for my students
mhm.
and have them send me videos daily, daily.
Be honest, how many
Something,
of your students did send you the videos though?
uh, there were a lot that did, there were a lot that didn't.
Okay.
And that's the thing. One of the things I had to keep in mind was there are going to be some kids that are going to have a big backyard to go to
Mhm,
and do stuff. They're going to have sporting equipment to do things. There are other kids that are living in apartments
mhm,
with people above and below them, and they can't be jumping around and making noise,
mhm.
or their parents are working inside. It was really challenging. So I did a lot of yoga videos. I sent them some dance videos. We did my virtual field day was fabulous, but that
My
was
mom said so too. I
well,
heard. I heard.
it was great. I had all my teachers, like there was about 10 teachers that volunteered to come to the school to help demonstrate what the event should look like. And then the parents would have to set it up for the kids and bring it back.
Mhm,
So I think for PE, it's definitely not uh, team oriented. It's a more
yeah,
of an individual, fitness thing, skill
mhm.
work, um, yoga, those kinds of things.
This is, sorry to interrupt, but it's not the same like to say like it's a math class. Like the professor would be able to like have the Zoom call and then be like, okay, do this exercise, and do this exercise, and then I'll look over them your results when you're done. Like for something like PE, the difficulty is like as you mentioned earlier that not every kid has the resources or the space available for it or the actual adequate space. So having to get everyone to do all these stuff at the same time is so difficult and challenging. So what I'm hearing that you're doing is very awesome because you found a way to like go around, I guess, like the loophole to like still do it in online teaching, but not having to do like a conference call or something like that.
No. The other thing is, every homeroom teacher would have a Zoom call, and I would go into those classrooms. I don't know if you've heard of the methodology of Tabata. Have you ever done a Tabata? Okay. It was designed for cyclists, actually. And it's like a HIIT workout, but it's just 4 minutes. And it's cycles of 20 seconds to 10 seconds. And it's all done in 4 minutes. Done, start to finish. And there are all these exercises I would put together. And I would go into the Zoom meeting, 4 minutes. 4 minutes. I'd have their attention. And they'd all have to get up. And it would be like plyometric exercises, like jump squats. And then you walk in place. That's your recovery. And then jumping jacks. And then you walk in place. Push-ups. And then you walk in place. Burpees. And then you, and there by the time, it's a very intense workout. And I figure every kid could do that.
Yeah, kids especially, they need to, especially since we're all stuck in quarantine, like exercising and like just staying healthy.
Yes.
Such a much needed thing.
Much needed. It's much needed because it burns off stress. It relaxes that nervous energy that kids can have, and then they start misbehaving at home. I'm 100% sure there were so many parents having to work from home, and they don't want their kids just glued to a television or a
computer
screen.
or like a tablet or phone or something. Like it's just not healthy for the eyes and everything.
I mean, kids have got to move. Got to move.
No, I agree.
So,
I agree.
So that's been my learning curve.
What do you think about sports though? Like how do you see like the coronavirus affecting like sports? Like we've seen with things like basketball and the NBA, they're gonna have to do their whole playoffs in Disneyland. You have hockey that's finally coming back. Football, they got lucky because football season don't even start until the fall. Baseball is still trying to figure out how many games they'll play. Like this is a tough time for not just the world in general, but in sports especially.
I think there's gonna have to be a way for fans to be able to, like, I think technology is gonna have to play a big part in these big stadiums. I mean, they may be able to bring in people and set them 6 feet apart, or so. I don't know how that's going to work, but I think they might be better off like buying into, so you're at home and you go to your Netflix or your Hulu and you're going to buy in to go to this game.
I agree with you. I feel like the one thing that will benefit from this, since like there all these leagues and all these sporting events are saying no fans because you want to keep it as safe as possible. Streaming services or like all those types of services and like organizations that focus on like streaming and just displaying content, those are the one things that are going to be needed the most to like you got like, because if you can't have fans in the seats, then you don't sell tickets, and tickets are a fundamental part of like the revenue that these teams make. So you got like, sure, people will watch from home, but like you got to ensure that there's millions of ways to watch your games from home, especially with the complication of like TV deals and all this stuff. Like, they need to get their money, or like else these athletes won't get paid. So,
well, I do think that the whole professional athlete industry is going to have to morph. I'm not 100% sure. And this is even what would affect the entertainment industry.
Like artists aren't having their concerts. They're postponing concerts too.
So all that money that was being generated by these massive concerts, massive games, all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
they really, really need to rethink, reorganize, restructure, and I'm 100% sure technology is going to be involved. Otherwise, I don't think the industries will be able to,
Mm-hmm.
they can't sustain that industry the way it is now
Mm-hmm.
without fans in the state. Fans have got to be watching the games.
I feel like it
I'm
will be.
100% sure everybody wants to be
Okay.
sports again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone wants sports again. We all miss it. It's one of the things in this country that it's talked about like very much. It trends on social media nonstop. People talk about it, but I feel like having to do the idea you mentioned about setting people 6 feet apart would just get too complicated in the point, or like people would not follow the guidelines or things like that.
So then everybody's in a mask. I don't
Well,
know.
we have to see how it unfolds, but I'm very intrigued. As a sports management major, I'm like sports is my life. You see the backgrounds. I have sports jerseys. I have a poster right here. So I mean, I'm definitely intrigued to see how that all turns around.
That's a project for you.
Definitely.
Start thinking.
hmm
Start thinking out the box. That I
hmm
think that's what it's going to take.
hmm
Yeah.
Um, what's your most favorite and least favorite thing about being a physical education teacher and then a yoga instructor as well?
Um, I tell this to my. I'll start with yoga because it's really super easy.
Okay.
There is absolutely nothing that is bad about teaching yoga, and that sounds kind of funny, but quite honestly, when I teach a yoga class, and I'll tell my students, the members, it's my favorite hour of that day. Whatever it there it is, that yoga practice is somewhat magical,
hmm
and what you can do for people in a small period of time in a small room with just a little mat is amazing.
hmm
People come in, they're stressed out, they're not they're worried, they're overworked, they're underworked, they're underloved, they're whatever it is, whatever they bring in, they bring it onto that mat. When they leave, they are a different person. They're a
I agree
different
with that.
person.
I
Yeah.
agree with that. Grow,
And
grow.
so any of the amount of time I spend creating a yoga practice for my students, it's all good. To me, it is all good. Physical education teacher, I absolutely love watching students have a goal, struggling, working on a skill,
hmm
on something, reducing their time, their mile time, reducing, you know, whatever their goal is when they
The
reach their goal.
progress. You love seeing the progress of how they transition from like starting out as a rookie in whatever exercise to becoming an expert in it.
There is nothing better in the world than
hmm
seeing somebody uh, reach their goal and exceed it. I think probably if I think about physical education and the way it is, there are lots of people that just think it's it's a fluff class. Oh, it's recess. It's not recess.
No.
It's not recess. Recess is recess. Recess is
Yeah.
free play. Um, I think my personal mantra for physical education is in the elementary school from K to 8th grade. If there was ever a student that left my school and said, I hated PE class, I feel like I would have failed them, because my goal is to make sure each student, finds something that they like and they feel successful in, that is a physical activity that they will be able to take with them and use the rest of their lives.
hmm
And it might be a skill that gets translated into some other skills. So, it might be a sport that translates to another sport. It's every student needs to be able to know that they can take care of their bodies physically.
Exactly. That's what I always, when I was growing up, I loved PE class. And like I feel like PE class is very important in the sense that sure, kids can exercise and like develop healthy habits on their own, but how are they gonna understand what a healthy habit is, or just in general know the proper basics of exercising if they never take a PE class?
I
It lays the
agree.
groundwork. It lays the groundwork. That's the thing.
Yeah. What's the name of that? It's a famous book, Outlanders. Is that the name of it?
I'm not good.
I'm drawing a blank on the name of this book, but really it's people, very successful people in every industry. And what they found is it takes 10,000 hours of good practice to succeed in whatever you want to succeed in. You want to play a violin, you want to be an NBA basketball, you want to be a musician, whatever it is. You got to put in the hard practice.
Practice
right?
and training. Practice and training. That's at the end of the day, and whatever you are in life, doesn't matter. If it could be the smallest task that you have to do day to day, or it could be the most important, vital thing to your survival or just life in general. If you don't practice it and train for it, you're not going to be good at it.
No one gets it. No one gets the easy ticket.
It's not something natural. Like there's exceptions. Like people become naturally good at some things, but like in reality, most of the time, you have to actually work hard and train hard and practice every day in
order to master it. That's the word I'm looking. In order to master something, takes 10,000 hours. Yeah. And I always tell my students, I say, please don't tell me that you are no good at basketball or you're terrible. We don't play baseball. We have to use a wiffle ball because plastic, that you're terrible at wiffle ball, or you're a terrible soccer player, because you don't even know if you're terrible. You just haven't put in enough practice.
Exactly.
Practice.
That's a good way of saying it, because like,
don't tell me you're terrible at it.
First off, you gotta try it, and second off, you gotta actually put the work and the dedication to it to see if you're actually terrible after all, or if you're actually good.
But if you're given the right amount of practice and guidance, you will eventually get better. You will.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite or like go-to exercise stretch?
A basic sun salutation. I don't know if you know what that is. A basic sun salutation is a great way to warm up the body and cool down the body, no matter what sport you're getting ready to play or have played. That's yoga, If you're not into yoga, and I know a lot of people aren't, I do feel like as far as maintaining strength, the push-up, plank, and squat.
I try to do planks every day.
And if you're not going to do squats, lunges. Push-up, plank, and squat. And I think if you do those exercises every day, I think you can keep a relatively healthy, strong body.
Okay.
Believe it or not, it's called staff pose in yoga. All it is sitting on the ground with your legs straight out in front of you, feet together, and just getting your back straight. So you're like a tipped over letter L. And it's shocking how many kids can't do that.
Like kind of like a V in a way, but not
a V. So your legs are straight out on the ground. Bottom is on the ground. And then your torso, you're just sitting straight up.
Oh, okay, I get it. But then like the back will be just a tiny bit backwards. So it's okay. I understand it now.
So kids have already so many tight back muscles and their shoulders are over rounded. They can't straighten out their torso to have this shape. This is their torso.
Mm-hmm.
These are their legs, right? They can't do this. Their body is like this, or their knees are up like this. That's what their shape looks like instead of being like this. I think that's a really important pose or stretch to do every day. They can just sit on the ground and watch their TV like that. It's healthy for your back. It'll keep your back healthy.
Okay.
So that's
No,
my best advice.
I mean, I didn't know it was called like the what's it called again?
Staff.
I basically do that whenever I sit down and either play video games or just watch television, like every now and then, because I try to make everything possible to make sure my back is as straight as possible.
You need to do that. Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I don't want to be looking like a banana. I agree.
You don't want to look at, because I always would tell my clients, you start get those rounded shoulders, and then your head's like this, and then your gaze is down, and then the next thing you know, you're rounding forward, and guess what? That's a slippery slope.
Exactly.
It is a slippery slope.
It is. You said you were a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, right?
Yeah.
What about the Pittsburgh Pirates or the Pittsburgh Penguins? Do you follow or like them too?
I'll follow the Pittsburgh Penguins. I like the Nats just because I've been here a long time. I've been here since '83.
Okay.
I do like the Nats. I do like the Pirates. Pirates haven't, they're.
Yeah.
I still, even when your team is down and out, I think it's important to always give up on a team,
I'm a Knicks fan. I've been dealing with my team being on a losing end most of the time in my life.
But you love them.
Oh, I love them to death. I love all of your teams.
So I'm right. I think loyalty is team loyalty is a really good thing, and I think sportsmanship, teaching in PE is a really good thing. It isn't always about the winning. I do have a theory on the Nats winning the championship.
What do you mean a theory? That they didn't win fair and square?
You know how they just couldn't quite get there. That's, that silly, was it the shark song?
Sharky do shark, baby shark, that song. I know what you mean. Yeah.
That was started by one of their players, and it kind of created this sense of funny. And years ago, I read that there was I think a research was done on athletic performance. And when an athlete is having a good time and feeling mostly relaxed, they have their best performance.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, that one player brought fun into baseball. It went like wildfire. All the fans were into it. Everybody was loving it.
Oh, yeah.
Having a great time. And they became champions.
Yeah, I will say the Nationals went on a crazy run that I didn't see it happening. And Bryce Harper was like the best player for the Nationals for the longest time here. It's the first year that he left, and that's when they won a championship. I feel like that's the biggest, there you go, Bryce Harper. Thank you for leaving us. But that's a good point, because I remember the Shark Doo-Doo song was coming out during that time. I
am telling you, I swear, that team started having fun. And I think it just, they were serious about what they were doing. And they were still working, but it is that slight release of stress that I think that they've all played better.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's actually smart, because the hassle of it doesn't become a hassle anymore. You're just having fun playing baseball, what you actually do every day. So it had to be a motivating factor somehow.
That and $4 will get you a cup of coffee.
The last question that I had for you is that if you were say you were a new owner in any sport or any type of league in America. If you could create any female sports league or sports team, which city would you make the team be for, or like what sport, or like what league would you make it?
Come on. What's You've been talking to me for a while. Where do you think that would be?
Pittsburgh.
Yes, of course. You
Mm-hmm.
know where I think it would be really fun. This is like a new game. I'm only learning about it,
Mm-hmm.
but pickleball.
Pickleball.
Have you heard of pickleball?
I don't think I've actually heard of pickleball.
It's like a handball game. It is a thing, and people are starting to play it. And I think there's starting to be leagues out there. But
Okay.
that would be a kind of a fun thing to have.
Professional pickleball league.
Because here, wait till you hear this.
Okay.
What is brewed and bottled in the city of Pittsburgh? You might not know this.
Pickles.
Heinz pickles. Heinz ketchup.
Oh, the Heinz one. Okay. Okay.
So could you imagine having a pickleball team we'd be champions just because.
It would be good branding too, and you could have Heinz as the official.
Oh my God. A pickleball team.
The Pittsburgh pickleball.
Pittsburgh. We would have to be called the Pittsburgh Pickles.
Pickles.
Yeah. How about that?
I love that.
That's your last answer.
Okay. Okay, I love that. I never thought that would be the answer I would get.
When you get off of this, you're gonna have to Google pickleball.
Oh, I'm definitely going to, because I'm very intrigued to see what pickleball is.
Yeah, you'll like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun game.
Lastly, I would like to say, thank you for joining us on the podcast. What is there any shout outs that you want to make for people to follow you on social media, or to any blog or any your YouTube channel, for example?
It's motivations.
Okay.
My name Maureen. My nickname is Mo. It's been Mo for 100 years. And it's MO-tivations, like motivation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll add it to the YouTube page. So
I got to get some videos up there now. You're pushing me. You're pushing me. Oh, I got to do it. I got to do it.
But once we finish, just send me your profile or the link to the channel, and I'll just put it in the description of the YouTube.
Daniel, thank you. I appreciate that.
And the other thing is, do you have anyone that you would recommend or suggest to be on the podcast, or that you think that would be a perfect person to talk sports with?
Oh. I wonder, have you looked into perhaps trying to get a local news person that does the sports?
I have not yet, but that's a good idea.
Is it Steve Genevieve on Fox DC5?
Okay, Steve
CH, yeah. He actually, I met him at the Mosaic Market last summer when they did those fun little trips. They had the news there, and he's originally from Pittsburgh too.
Okay.
And I think he does I think he will report on the sports, either that or, but it might be you could reach out to a local news station, maybe even NPR. Maybe there's someone that you could interview in that way. Or have you done coaches I have
not yet done coaches.
At your high school or college?
I plan for doing that later, but as of right now, no. Yeah. I wanted to build up the podcast before to get more.
Yeah, sure. I get that. If I think of someone spectacular, I will definitely let you know, okay?
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any last words?
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
You are such a nice young man and very handsome too.
Thank you. Stop it. You're gonna make me.
And you have a bright future ahead of you.
Thank you.
And what I tell all my students, keep moving.
Oh, I definitely will.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
That's it, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching us. Peace out, people.